Oh, wow. Okay, the next one is it's going to be a hot topic. How much money do you make on YouTube? I'm Josh, and this is our daughter, Ivy.
I'm Celia, and this is our son, Hamish.
Here on Steep in the Woods, we live completely off-grid on a 26-acre homestead nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains. You'll see no fancy stuff here. It's just making do with what you have and what you can figure out. If you're new to the project,
Then a big warm welcome.
and if you're a tough old root, then welcome back. Today's video is part one of a two-part Q&A series in which we answer y'all's questions. So the first one isn't even actually on the list, so I guess it's 34 and counting. How old are we and how long have we been married? I am 32, and as for how long we've been married,
I am 31 years old, and we have been married for about 13 years.
Yep, she forgot to answer that one. So
I did.
So the first real question, how far away did you move from your last property? Roughly 3.5 hours. However, we are still in the same mountains, just in a different state. Yeah, so that's basically it. 3.5 hours is not a lot in the grand scheme of the United States, but it was a lot for us here. We did have to do this move 100% by ourselves. We got no help, we have a lot of stuff. So that 3.5 hours, we are still, even now, multiple months later, making trips to our old place to gather supplies that we just couldn't physically fit in the first 12 loads. So yes, 3.5 hours. Why did we sell our last mountain? It's a complicated one, right? Or maybe not, maybe it's simple, but it was complicated for us. That decision was difficult and hard for us to come to the realization that it was correct. We sold our last property because it was only 14 acres, which while still really good, wasn't quite what we were looking for. We wanted more. So that was a factor, even though it wasn't the main reason. The main reason why we sold our last mountain is that it had codes. That was basically it. Like we lived there for a year, more or less, and we couldn't even get a mailbox. Couldn't even get a mailbox. We did build our house, our little tiny house, which I do like. We'll continue to do that in the future. I like small spaces. I guess I'm a nester. But either way, we built that house exceeding code, right? We did our best. That house should have been acceptable to anyone, whether they were looking at it from the viewpoint of I don't want to like this or I don't want this to be allowed. We did, so we did put that effort in it, but we really couldn't go any bigger. And when we got pregnant with Hamish, we realized that 12 by 16 by 12 just wasn't big enough. And in order to expand it, we would have to break tradition with those codes. There are ways around it, but we couldn't even get a mailbox. So I didn't want to move any farther that direction. So we sold it. We got an extra multiple acres. Can't do math right now. But we got multiple more acres, and we are in a place with no codes. And the first thing that we did was get a mailbox.
Yeah, finding this property took a long time. We looked and looked and looked. We drove all over the place. We got lost up in mountains. And this one, we didn't even look in this area at all until the last second. And then this one popped up, and it worked out. It was like, somebody picked it for us.
How did we afford our first mountain? Boy, this is well, we did. Super simple. Anyone can do this, right? What you can do over time is far more dramatic than what you could do all at once. So what we did was save our money. We did. We actually took after every trip to town, every time that we purchased something, we would take our change, our literal change, pennies, nickels, dimes, and put that in a jug. We had a massive jug. We would do that every single time, and we did that for years. We also, it's like, say if I bought something and sold it or flipped it or somehow made a profit off of something, I would literally go to the bank, get rolls of quarters, and dump those into that jug, because I knew I'm an impulse buyer. If I had to see a product, an item, whatever, if I had to go home and roll that money up, I was dramatically less likely to purchase that product or item spontaneously. So that worked out best for us, but basically the meat of it is figure out a way in which you can save money and do that. So that's how we afforded our first mountain.
Josh really is the main reason that we afforded our first property. He decided that we were going to save change, and that's really what we did. We saved all of our change, all of our ones. We even went to the bank every single paycheck, and we would get rolls of quarters, and we would put them in the change bucket because nobody wants to pay for things with quarters. So that was the easiest way to keep us from spending our savings, and it took a long, long time. But we did. We were able to save enough money for, I think it was either the survey or the down payment. But yeah, just in change.
Oh, wow. Okay, the next one is it's going to be a hot topic. How much money do you make on YouTube? So the answer is basically nothing, right? And I know people don't, either you're in two groups. All those people, and it's a large number who are actively rooting against us, you're going to be happy about that, which is a negative for me personally. However, all those people who are rooting for us are also going to be unhappy about this. So this is not a popular question. This is not my favorite question, right, to answer honestly.
So we don't make hardly anything on YouTube right now. On average, we get, I think it's $150 a month. And you know, each video gets us around $10 if it's doing really good.
At the rate in which we are accumulating funds, now granted, we are making money. It does help. It is helpful. It's something that I will continue as long as possible. And any amount of money helps. But at our current rate of YouTube income, we're looking at like 2 years before we even pay off our cameras and laptop and whatnot to get our investment back out. However, I am very happy that we have that money every month, because you do get paid every single month. It's like a regular job. But as of right now, we are in the negative. We are in the negative on YouTube. However, it still helps. That doesn't mean that I'm unhappy about it. It's just a fact. The fact is that fact. You fact it, man. So, next. Are we working to build up our channel for income? The perfect next question. The idea is we've always been doing that. You need money, right? And yes, we have been trying to make money off of YouTube from the beginning, and we are continuing to try to do that. That's what the reviews are. That's what the shorts are. Things of that nature. Yes. I really don't know. See, it takes a lot of time to make videos. Without the money, I'm struggling to find a reason why anyone would do it that isn't a negative reason. Are you vain? Are you trying to watch yourself do something? Are you the kind of person that loves talking in the mirror? Or are you trying to prove something to the world? Or do you have some kind of hole that you need to fill with videos, right? So I think trying to make money off of it is one of the more wholesome reasons for doing this and putting this much effort into a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we've been trying to make money on YouTube since the beginning. I think now we're getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more regular. Instead of just whenever we can, we are trying to make a point to make videos and to make those videos work. They're still not, you know, viral or anything, but I am putting an effort in the YouTube channel a lot more regularly.
Would I encourage others to have a YouTube channel? Yes, I have actively encouraged many people to make videos. I think that, you know, there is profit in it. Lots of people make a ton of money. And I think, two things, right? So if you can make videos and make profit on something really easy, like the kids who play video games, that's a rock and roll thing, man. Rock and roll, That's smart. That's what I should have done. Play video games and get paid for it. Or on the flip side, people like us and the type people who have encouraged to do this in person, it would be interesting people. If you're doing something interesting, if you think you can contribute to the world, absolutely have a YouTube channel.
I would only recommend a YouTube channel for people if they have a lot of patience. A lot of patience, and honestly, if you have a lot of technical experience, a lot of computer experience, if you understand algorithms and SEO and all of that, then yeah, go for it. You know, especially if you already have a blog going. But if you're brand new to this whole avenue of making money through YouTube and through social media, I would say only if you have patience, if you have another income, and you have a lot of dedication to spend on it.
Do you edit your own videos, and how difficult is it? Yes. So to me, the project is broke up into two separate chunks. Our last property and the majority of our videos, were you to just count them out, was me editing those because I had an editing program. When we first started, we used our phone. I just literally pulled my phone out and I made a video and I edited it on KineMaster. I did that. Now, when we upgraded to GoPros and to an actual laptop, all of my information and all of my skills on that first editing software did not translate. And honestly, I was so busy here that Celia has stepped in, and she is now editing all of our videos. So rock and roll for that. By all means, she's the backbone of the project, even if she's not on camera all that much.
Yeah, we do edit our own videos. We started out with just a phone, and we would use KineMaster, and that was the easiest, simplest editing format. You know, the resolution wasn't wonderful, and it was free, it was cheap. Now we have upgraded, and I use PowerDirector, and I wouldn't say it's super easy, especially since I don't really have a whole lot of experience with using editors. It's my first time using a video editor besides KineMaster. So it's not really easy.
Was living off-grid something you both always wanted to do? Now, I cannot speak for Celia, but for myself, I suppose off-grid, the term off-grid seems so sedate compared to what I actually wanted. I wanted to be the kid from my side of the mountain. It literally took several years for Celia to talk me out of not just running off into the national forest and being gone forever. Pocket knife, you know, preferably some kind of old Smith & Wesson revolver, you know, something classic. You know, so either way, set of basic tools and just taking off, right? And I definitely had a list. I had thought about it a lot. So yes, for me, I always wanted to live off of the grid. However, I had planned on doing it in a much more dramatic fashion than we are here. When you have kids, you really got to, I mean, it makes life a whole lot more complex. And I'm still getting most of what I wanted out of life, but you do have to change that some when you've got family in tow. But I don't know about Celia.
So actually, I did not always want to live off-grid. The whole concept of growing and being outdoors was like, you know, I would sit inside and watch TV and eat junk food and go to the mall. And then I met Josh, and we started digging up strawberries, and he really showed me what the value of being outdoors, growing your own food, and living closer to nature, just how wonderful that is.
Do we like it here? Yes. We actually, now we're not ones to gamble or go out to bars or anything, but we did buy a Powerball the other day. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is we were talking about if we won millions, you know, the Powerball, that's why people play it. This is one of the first times that we've ever played it. But would we stay here? That was one of the first things that me and Celia discussed in our sort of dreaming, you know, maybe we'll actually win deal. And both of us decided, yes, we would. We may be 3.5 hours away from where I grew up, but these are our mountains. They're the same mountains. These are my mountains, man. I was born here. Grew up here. Just because you change the last half of an address doesn't mean they're not the same mountains. So yes, and everyone in my family has always lived here. One of my older brothers has traced our family tree back all the way, and on both sides, we just showed up here, you know. So yes, we like it here. We love our mountains, and we would stay here even with the opportunity to move somewhere else.
I like the peace and quiet, and I love this area. It's comfortable and it's beautiful.
How hard is it to live 100% off the grid? This is a funny question. Yeah, dude, it's really difficult. Very, very much so. It is like William Forstner's book. You know, that's your entire life. It is a survival thing. At some point, hopefully, you would, had you decided to, you know, if you're on the same path that we are, and also hopefully we will as well, get things set up to where it becomes easy. But we went off grid. This is like our fourth time doing all of this, capping springs, building houses, cutting in roads, and it is still not easy. So yes, off grid is really stinking difficult. But obviously we think that it's worth it.
So I would say it's pretty hard. It is not for the faint at heart. It requires a lot of hard physical labor to live off grid. It requires a lot of sacrifices. When it comes down to it, most things when you live off grid are going to be harder. You have to really enjoy the end product, the end goal, and you have to push through a lot of hard work.
What do you like most about living off grid? Oh man, I want to pick like 5 things. I think the honest answer, I'm gonna have to pick 2. Man, I'm gonna have to pick 2 of them, at least, if not 5. For me personally, I think the thing I like most is the lack of noise. I don't like noise. I don't. I'm also a big fan, not a big fan of wind either. But either way, yeah, it's quiet, and I really like that. I have a problem with loud noises. You know, it's not like a twitching type deal. You know, I'm not crazy, but yes, I like the lessening of noise and the fact that there is no noise unless you make it here. I also would say that, doing a second one, I would also say that I enjoy the pride of it. There's something to be said about what you have is only yours because you did it from beginning to end. I owe no man nothing for what I have. It's mine. It is absolutely mine. So there's a lot of pride in it. And actually having ownership of your entire life. That would be the more, like if I was to pick one to make a shirt on, you know, that would be it. The noise thing is just a personal thing. So, yes, that's what we like about off-grid.
What I like the most is the privacy. So very similar to what Josh said, I love the fact that I go outside and there's no streetlights, there's no traffic, there's no neighbors staring at you, there's just trees, there's gardens, and of course my junk.
What are your biggest goals for your homestead? Because that's really part of off-grid. You can't be 100% off-grid if you're still going everywhere to get everything that you need. You're supposed to, you know, you need to grow some of that. Our biggest goals for our homestead, I would say comfort would be number 1. I want things to be comfortable. I want to progress with all of my tasks and all of my projects to a point where I can actually relax a little bit. But some lesser goals would be Celia wants goats for milk. You know, we would like to do meat rabbits. We would like to have a no-till garden. We would like to build a house. Things like that. But the number 1 goal would be getting to a place where we have more comfort than we do now.
I would say my biggest goal is that I want to be able to grow and make and produce everything that we need. And that's a really hard thing to do. I don't know if we'll be able to do all of it, but I would like to. That is my biggest goal. I want to, you know, have a pantry filled with stuff that I grew or that I raised. I want to, you know, make all of our clothes and blankets, you know. That is the end game goal for me.
Are you preppers? You know, this is a difficult one. Short answer would be yes, absolutely. A longer answer would be that we are either, you could say, one of two things, and both of them are in the dramatic affirmative type category, is that either we are off-grid people, and because of which we, just the way that you live is prepping, right? You have to prepare. You have to, like your average person doesn't have a bit of water storage at all, but whenever you're off-grid, you have to have tanks. You have to have some amount of cooling. You have to prep. There is pre-thought, and systems have to last longer than a second. So there is a lot of similarities between off-grid and prepping. So either we are preppers because we live off-grid, or on the flip side, we're such hardcore preppers that we just went ahead and went off-grid. I mean, it's half and half, right? It's a coin. Flip it either way, they're both correct. So the short answer would be yes. The long answer would be we're more hardcore than you are. So, yes.
Yeah, we're preppers. I would say that we are definitely prepared. I wouldn't say we're real hardcore about it or anything, but we have always agreed that we need to have some kind of a plan if something happens. If there's even just something small happens, we need to have a plan or have the supplies for it, for our family.
Oh, okay, well, the next one is pretty much right in the same line. Do you think you can actually survive the apocalypse? I think there is a, I think this question can only go one single direction because of the specific word used. Apocalypse, no. Do not think we can survive the apocalypse. Although for me, in my mind, that's like the sun turning into a red giant or something, in which it just engulfs our entire solar system or whatever. So apocalypse, no. An SHTF type situation, yeah, man, yeah. Whatever it is, whatever the apocalyptic, whatever the major disaster is, it's going to have to be right here and actually touch us, or we're going to be fine, because we don't need most of what other people need. You can't, anything that happens, for the most part, that would happen 100 miles away is not going to turn my water off. So I think, if nothing else, we would be way better set up than most people. And I would be surprised if we did not survive anything less than just an apocalypse. So, yes, I think that we could. I think it would really suck. And I think it would take a lot out of us. It would, I don't want that one. That one's a yes, but please don't test me on it. Are you related to Sam from Green Acre Homestead? And will you guys do videos together? Yeah, man, that's my brother. That's my older brother. He's like 6 years older or something. His name's Sam, and we grew up together. And we really didn't like each other when we were kids, but then our friendship grew. We had issues as kids, and then we spent some time apart, and then we connected as adults. And yes, we got along great, man. And he is my older brother. Will we do videos together? I mean, probably not, just because he's pretty far away, and we're both very busy. I mean, I can't really. We took a trip the other day just for like 3 or 4 days, and I had to get the neighbor to feed my chickens. I had to bring my dog with me, and just it's a homestead is very, very close to a prison, right? And either you got a really successful homestead, or you may also have a very successful prison, and that would go for both of us. He's also very busy. He may not have to bring his dog with him if he went somewhere, but taking a long trip and making a video together is a very involved deal. And I just don't know that those stars will line up, but I would be more than happy if they did. So, yes, and probably not, but it's a bummer. So that is it for part 1 of this Q&A series. Always remember, if you liked what you saw, hit that button. If you're new to the project, hit that other button. If you want to help support the project, there are links below. Until next time, here, Steve in the Woods.